Hi there. My name's Frank, and I want to share my pizza recipe with you today. I've been making pizza since the 1980s. Started to develop my own recipe in the 90s, and have changed that recipe on and off over the years until last year when I combined it with an Italian biga recipe, and I think I've created the world's best pizza. And every time someone has my pizza, they say it's the best they've ever had. So I think it's pretty good. So I wanted to share everything I know about how to make your own awesome pizza at home. Got a few things here. First, some tools. Just picked up this awesome 16-inch ceramic plate. Get one of these if you can, and avoid using aluminum plates, serving plates. It's a little expensive, but it's phenomenal. You want to get yourself at least one pizza peel to do this right, to do my method. I use two, one that I can make the pizza on, and then another one that I take the pizza out of the oven with. You put the pizza into the oven with this one and take it out with this, and I can use the cutter, on this board and keep this one clean. And this one has the messy toppings and everything on it, so you can make multiple pizzas. You don't need to have two, but that's how I do it. You want to get a pizza stone. This one is from this company, Love This Kitchen. I'm not getting any endorsements or sponsorships here. I like this stone because it has this backstop. So as you're putting the pizza in the oven, the pizza stops and hits there, and when you're taking it out, you can push up against this backstop. The company is a little bit of a deceptive, the little bait and switch advertising. They advertise it as an extra thick stone, and it's not really that thick. You can see there's all these indentations. A little bit of trickery in their advertising, but I like that backstop. But any pizza stone will work. Actually, I have a stack of them in the oven. When you cook pizza, you want the oven to be as hot as it can possibly be. This one only gets to 525, which is at the low end of what you want to be at. I used to have an oven that went up to 650. That was phenomenal. I've got a friend who built a brick oven outdoors, and it gets up to 700 degrees, and that's really when this pizza dough really shines. Okay. So as I mentioned, the base of this is a Italian biga, which is a two-stage process, and it takes up to 8 to 10 days to actually make this dough. One more very important thing. One of the most important elements of this is getting the right flour. And we really couldn't make the world's best pizza without Trump's flour. And a lot of people ask me, why Trump's? Why don't you get this flour or that flour? And I think the answer is obvious. I think we need to make pizza great again. So I know that's stupid as hell. All Trump's is very high gluten flour. Probably all the pizza restaurants in New York all use All Trump's. I asked General Mills why they call it All Trump's. I don't think it has anything to do with the Donald. And I hope your political affiliation doesn't detract you from making the best pizza or making pizza great again. I buy it by the 50-pound bag just because it's reduces the cost quite a bit. It's hard to find really good high gluten flour at the grocery stores. You can look online to find it. There's a half dozen or 10 different varieties. I use All Trump's. It's phenomenal. Another thing to recommend is when you get yeast, you need to get yeast for this. You can get this kind of yeast, as Fleshman's active dry yeast, or these generic yeast in the bakery section in the grocery store. It's been sitting up there on the shelf for God knows how long. It's not the best. If you can find live yeast at your health food store, it's in the refrigerator section, not in the bakery section. I use Bob's, and again, Bob's not paying me anything, although they could if they want. You get that and keep it in your fridge and use it. Some health food stores you can buy in bulk in the refrigerator section. So without any further ado, 1 cup water, warm water, 2 cups Trump's flour. It's all very funny. First stage is very easy. What we're going to do in the first stage is make kind of a starter. It's not really like sourdough, but that's what people compare it most to. 2 cups trump flour. And you can use a mixer for this part, but it's not necessary. It actually works very well without a mixer. Add 1 cup water with the yeast soaking in it for a few minutes to wake it up. And all you need to do here is take a fork and mix this in. We're going to add more ingredients later. So in this first stage, you don't really need to blend it or mix it or use the mixer. Or even get all the flour all wet. But that's not really that important for this stage. So that's it. What you do with this, that only took a minute. You know, it's very fast. Take some plastic, cover this up, put a rubber band around the base, and leave this sit for about 18 to 24 hours. And it's going to smell amazing. And it's very, by the time this is done, it's very soupy, or not soupy, but it's too moist to make a pizza with. So that's stage 1. This is a batch I made yesterday, and oh, it's awesome. About almost 24 hours ago, and so now we're going to add the good stuff, some flavorings. I'll be right back. This, and this. Sorry about that. Oh, one more thing. Okay, for stage 2. 2 teaspoons of salt. Himalayan pink sea salt if you want. You got to measure this really accurately. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That would be very precise. Julia Child's in the house. 1 dollop of butter. About 1 tablespoon of butter. Whoop. And then 1.5 more cups of flour. And if you're asking what kind of what kind of flour, I'd recommend Trump's. Now, I'm not a political guy. I'm not affiliated with any political party or any organization at all, actually. But it is kind of odd what we're going through in this country right now. I just don't understand. Even when Cheney was president, you know, 20 years ago, even when Cheney was president, hate wasn't fashionable. At what point did hate become fashionable? I just don't get this. Anyway. You know, once again, that's the second stage. To go over it real quick again. 2 teaspoons of salt, a tablespoon butter, a tablespoon olive oil, and 1.5 more cups of Trump's flour. And then you let that go for a little bit. I'm just taking a spatula and pushing the dough down to the sides of the pan real quick. This doesn't take really long, and you can do all this by hand, old school if you want to on a cutting board. I'm too lazy. What you're going to get here is the dough's kind of all stuck together. There's going to be a lot of loose flour on the bottom, so you add a tablespoon or a little bit more water on the bottom to get it all mixed up. Such a chore. Okay, so now it's finished. And by the way, this recipe makes enough dough for 2 pizzas. So you take this out. What you want to do is put some olive. You can pick up these pans at Walmart or whatever, stainless steel. Spray them with some oil spray or olive oil or something so that the dough doesn't stick. You know, make nice balls. Put it in here. And again, we're going to cover these up. You let them sit for a couple hours to let them come to life and start to ferment. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put them in the refrigerator for at least a week. You can tell they're just about ready when they start to form black spots on them. And that's not a joke. It's actually it's what the recipe calls for. If they do start to smell like vinegar, however, then they've gone off and you need to start over. So we're going to do the same thing. Put the plastic on. And put those in the fridge, and like I said, let those sit for at least a week. Now, technically, if you want to, you can let those rise for a couple hours, and it'll make an amazing pizza. But the process of letting it ferment for a week in the refrigerator does a few things. It makes the wheat a lot more easier to digest. Because it's been fermenting and breaking down the gluten for a week, so it makes it a lot easier for your system to handle, and also it creates this flavor that you've probably never had before on a pizza. You can't really do this method in a restaurant unless you have a week's worth of refrigeration to hold all the dough, right? So it's a very artisan kind of pizza. So now I've made a couple. One more thing, so when you take it out of the refrigerator in a week and you're ready to cook it, you want to let it sit out for several hours to let it wake back up. If you take it out and you make a pizza right away, it's going to be flat because it's going to get shocked when you get into the oven. And here is what, here's the difference between, where it starts and how much it swells up when it's fermented. Oh my God, that smells so good. If you have a pizza peel, what you want to do is I use cream of wheat. You can use coarse semolina or some cornmeal, anything that's kind of gritty. It'll just add flavor to the pizza, but you want to spread that out onto on the peel so that way you can slide it into the oven pretty well. And everything here is pretty easy, pretty typical. You do not, please, as my friend told me, if you're in India and they see you using a rolling pin on a pizza dough, they'll put you in prison. It's a felony. So you just want to, this is really easy to work with, and you just want to spread it out and sort of let gravity, pull the pizza dough out. Let's see if I can do this a little. Whee! And that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop the camera here in a minute, and then finish with some toppings that I learned, some other ways to make this phenomenal. But you can see, just allowing the gravity to work here, you can get the pizza big enough to hold, to fill up the whole peel. And that's pretty much it. Super simple. Anybody can make this pizza dough. It really is the best pizza I've ever had. And of course, when you make your own pizza, you can stack up as many toppings on as you want on it. There's no limit to that. At the end of this, you want it to completely fill up the pizza peel, and you want it to be able to slide, and then at that point we're ready to go ahead and make a pizza. Okay, now the fun part. Dressing up the pizza and cooking it and putting whatever toppings you want on it. I want to show you a super easy, phenomenal pizza sauce. It's foolproof, I think. And it's a roasted red pepper sauce. I've had this all I did was I took a bell pepper, sliced it in half, put it in a cast iron pan with a bunch of cloves of garlic, in this case black garlic, which is super easy to make if you've got a rice cooker. Black garlic's pretty cool, but you could just put regular garlic cloves in it, and whatever juices are in the pan there. This is straight up amazing sauce. A little salt. Add a bunch of olive oil. This will help thin it out and extend the flavor throughout the whole pizza. Put it in a little food processor if you've got one. Just be a second. That's it. World's most amazing pizza sauce. It's super simple. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, I'm vegetarian, been vegetarian almost 20 years. And so what I like to do to get a little protein is I put walnuts on pizza. It's really great. But if you do that, you want to do it underneath the cheese, so the walnuts, because if you put it on top, the walnuts are going to burn. Oh, what the heck. Well, the sauce smells amazing. So throw in some walnuts, blah, blah, blah. You can never add too many walnuts. Some mozzarella cheese. La, 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 la. Again, you can put as many or as little toppings as you want. It's your own pizza. There's no limit what you can put on a pizza. I've recently started putting spinach on. I always thought that was a California kind of gimmick. This is courtesy of Andy over at Against the Grain here in Boone. If you see him at the farmer's market, say hello for me. Put the spinach on the bottom. I got some fresh corn on the cob sprinkled with a little cayenne pepper. This is really great. It cooks in the oven, and it's like cosmic candy on your pizza. It's really awesome. Crimini mushrooms. I know, it's starting to make my mouth water. Some red onions. That looks pretty good. Now, like I said before, and I want to mention something now. If you're going to make more than one pizza, the pizza stone has to heat back up again after you cook a pizza. So give it a 5 to 10 minute break in between pizzas. Before going in the oven, you want to kind of jiggle the pizza back and forth on the paddle, on the peel, to make sure that it's going to slide off okay. It's not too sticky. I'm going to turn the camera here to the oven. Okay, just for sake of completion, I wanted to show you how to throw a pizza into the oven and take it out real quick. If you haven't done it before, I would start off with like maybe just a cheese pizza or something, just to get the feel of it. Obviously, the more toppings you have on it, the heavier it gets and the more it tends to kind of stick to the peel. So practice with a few pizzas, but you know, the Italian peel method is definitely the way to go to make the best pizza. One other thing I think I forgot to mention is, if you're going to cook multiple pizzas, you want to let the stones heat back up again after you cook a pizza. So give it a 5 to 10 minute break in between. As you'll see in the oven here, I've got maybe 3 or 4 stones stacked up, so that way it retains a lot of heat and drives that heat into the pizza. You know, if I could, I would get a pizza stone like this thick, just because my oven doesn't get hot enough. In any event, hopefully you've got the pizza very loose on the peel, because there's enough grain underneath it. Tilt it at an angle. Bada boom, bada bing. If the dough is hanging over the edge of the pizza stone, it's going to burn, so make sure that you get it all the way on top. Again, just to go over some details on how to make the pizza: a cup of warm water and a tablespoon of yeast. Stir that around, let it sit for 10 or so minutes, let it warm up. Add that to 2 cups of trumps. I don't know, that never gets old. All trumps or some other high gluten flour, what they call an Italy strong flour. Italian flour if you can get it, because the grains they use there are a lot more, it's more expensive, but it's worth it. You let that sit for 18 to 24 hours. Come back the next day, add a tablespoon of butter, a dollop of butter, and a tablespoon or so of olive oil, 2 teaspoons of salt, another cup and a half or so of trumps flour, and mix that in together with a mixer, or do it by hand, knead it on a old school on a cutting board or whatever. Split that into 2 balls, put it in the refrigerator for a week or so, and bring it out, and it'll be amazing. So that's about it. I'm going to cut the video here and then restart it again when I take the pizza out, and close with a few comments. Okay. Okay, so it's been about maybe 10 minutes. Your mileage may vary depending on the temperature of your oven. With a good hot stone oven, a brick oven, it could be 5 minutes. In a lot of these conventional ovens, the temperature in the back is hotter than in the front. So what a lot of people do is before it's finished, they turn the pizza around. Whoa. Ow! And then that gets the back of the crust, or the other side of the crust, cooked all the way through. So that's about it. I'm going to slice it and eat it here in a minute. I'm not sure what else to add to this. Basically, throw whatever you want on pizzas. There's really no end. I had my own pizza restaurant in California about 12 years ago, called Crazy Frank's Daisy Pizza. It was specializing in Indian flavorings. It was a lot of fun and a really good way to ruin a good hobby. So, you know, it takes a lot of work and a lot of hours. It's an all-cash business, so it's really hard. But we did well, and I'm going to leave in the comment section below, or in the description, I'm going to leave a review that we got at the restaurant for you to check out. And I should just about do it. Oh yeah. I like this big wheel on this pizza cutter. If you get the smaller ones, those are kind of worthless. If you can find one of these big ones, they're really great. Nice and crispy. Oh yeah. there you go. So there it is. I hope you enjoy this. I do have a couple of these hats available for the best testimonials or pictures or stories. Send them in. Go to my website, beyondmefilms.com. There will be a page for this. Like I said, the sky's the limit. You can put anything on pizza you want, except for just don't put cranberries on. Wait a second. Cranberries on pizza? That's crazy. It just might work. Thank you very kindly.